Good evening. I'm going to call the April 16th, 2024 Finance meeting to order. I'm present, Councilmember Jessica Brennan, Councilmember McPartlin, Councilmember Moskowitz, Town Attorney Finnan, Town Comptroller Greenwood, Assistant to the Town Comptroller Janet Nguyen. We also have department heads here, Eric Amberger, Seth Goldstein, Chief Koshin, Michelle Martinelli, Ray Smith, Matt Yetto, Laura Robertson, Lori Peretti. We have hearing impaired set. Would you like one?
Sure.
Okay. Deputy Chief Twitty, could you let Seth know we have a, thank you, right here to this lovely woman here up front. Council Member De La Rada is present. Okay.
Does that interfere with Fairgate?
Nope. Works with them.
What is that?
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the March 12th, 2024 Finance meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes from the March 12th meeting of Finance and General Government.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any changes to those meeting minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Those meeting minutes passed. Tonight we'll have a different schedule for the evening. We will begin with a presentation from our comptroller, Beth Greenwood, our superintendent of water and sewer, Matt Yetto, about the utility bill update. We will then continue with our general finance meeting business. We have an agenda meeting scheduled after that. Then we have our town board meeting. At that point, there's a portion where there's privilege of the floor, and residents will have an opportunity to come to the podium and speak. We also have a sign-up sheet if anyone has questions, general questions or specific questions related to their bill. They can write down their name, their address, contact information, and their question or concern. Okay, I'll go ahead and turn the microphone over to our comptroller, Beth Greenwood.
Okay, good evening. All right, we have a spring utility bill update. A lot of this is going to follow from the presentation that had been done previously. And once this is complete, these slides and this presentation will also be on the town website if anybody needs to refer to them. So I'm going to go through everything. And if there are questions, again, as the supervisor said, we'll be passing around. There's a sign-up board here at the end that we'll give to people if they would like to be contacted by the staff. It may take a couple days. They're working through the current calls and emails they have, and we're getting to everybody in turn. The town water and sewer systems are utilities. The systems are designed to provide residents with clean water and sewage treatment. These services are in the interest of public health. These utility systems are a public good. They are not meant to make the town money, neither are they permitted to be a burden on the taxpayer. Each system is supposed to be run at cost. In January of 2023, these notices were sent out to everybody in Sewer District 1 to let everybody know about the changes that were happening with their tax bill. The water and sewer rate change was passed unanimously by the town board in 2023. This was done in conjunction with a correction to the way the town was billing the water and sewer utilities. The change ensured that only debt service for the utilities remained on the tax bill, while all usage would be on the utility bill. While this was not a significant change for water and sewer 6, it was a large shift for sewer 1, as previously Sewer One had all their debt service as well as operations and maintenance costs lumped together on the tax bill. These are hard to read on the screen, and that's why you'll probably want to look at them once they're posted on the website. The realignment of the Sewer One billing, moving the operations and maintenance costs to the utility bill while keeping the capital debt on the tax bill, has a profound impact on the overall cost to residents. All sewer used by households in the Sewer One district in 2021 was paid for on the, in 2022 was paid for on the 2022 tax bill. Only water was paid on the spring and fall 2022 utility bills. So these are actual tax bill and utility bills from a particular household in Sewer District 1 for 2022. This household paid $402.97 for Sewer One, which was all debt service, operations, and maintenance. Every household in Sewer District 1 paid the same. This household paid $118.38 for water debt service on their tax bill. They used over the minimum for water, so paid $48.43 on their spring bill and $46.03 respectively on their fall bill, for a total of $94.46 for water usage over the course of that year. This is a total utility cost of $615.81 for their water and sewer utilities for all debt service, maintenance, and operations. Additionally, you will note that starting on the first utility bill sent out in April of 2022, the upcoming minimums and rates that would be in effect for usage starting in July 23 were noted. That's the box there, the little box. It says on it, rates to begin in July of 23, and it has all the rates, all the minimums on that box. So those started in April of 22, and they were in the fall bill of 22, again, spring of 23, fall of 23, and that's the bill that's actually in effect with this current billing. Sewer One only had debt service on the 2023 tax bill. There were no operations and maintenance costs included on that tax bill. Debt service for water was also on the tax bill per usual. Only water consumption was paid on the spring and fall 2023 utility bills due to the lag in billing based on usage. This household paid $76.08 for Sewer One debt service and $86.05 for their water debt service on their tax bill. They used over the minimum for water, so paid $49.60 and then $49.85 respectively, for a total of $99.45 for water usage. This is a total for 2023 of $261.58 for their water and sewer utilities, which included all debt service, all maintenance and operations for the year of 2023. Okay, for 2024. Debt service for Sewer One and water were both paid on the 2024 tax bill. This household paid $72.21 for Sewer One debt service and $92.97 for water debt service on their tax bill. They used over the minimum for water, so paid $100.56, and used slightly over the minimum for sewer, so paid $156.73, for a total of $257.29 for water and sewer usage. Assuming their usage is the same on their fall bill, this would be a total of $679.76 for their water and sewer utilities for all debt service, maintenance, and operations for 2024. Remember that their total debt service, operations, and maintenance paid in 2022 was $615.81. This property used more than the minimum amount and still saw an increase of only $63.95 for all water and sewer debt service, maintenance, and operation costs change from 2022 to 2024. This slide is directly out of the previous presentation. These are the new rates based on the calculations that are discussed in the previous presentation that was done in the previous year. Roughly 1/3 of the cost of running each of the systems was used to determine the base rate. That is the minimum. The remainder of the cost was used to determine the usage rate per 1,000 gallons. Sewer 1 had previously been billed as a lump sum on the tax bill with no consideration for actual usage. Of note, all the systems are separate funds. Thus, the costs and revenue are unique to that system. Money cannot be used for another system. While Sewer 1 has a higher base and rate because of the cost to process sewage in the city of Schenectady, Sewer 6 has a much higher debt service on their tax bill due to the plant upgrades. Money cannot be switched from one of the systems into another for any reason. This is also a slide taken from the presentation before. This shows how the new water rates compare to neighboring communities. Not all municipalities measure water usage the same way. Some use gallons, some cubic yards, some billing is annual, some biannual, some quarterly. Not all have minimums. Some don't meter. Based on these figures, you can see the cost of water in Niskayuna is now comparable to our neighbors. Additionally, since Niskayuna ties into the city of Schenectady water system and our Sewer 1 feeds into the city for treatment, I included the rates for city water and sewer users that are paid in the city. The city does not have meters. Therefore, each resident pays a set quarterly amount. You will note that they pay quarterly for their water, $215.76, and quarterly for their sewer, $313.31. Again, this is because they are not metered. Everyone in the city pays the same amount quarterly. Luckily for Niskayuna, even for our folks who do have a Sewer 1 system that feeds into the city, since we are metered and we have a contract, our rates are not that high. I thought it might be very helpful for people to take a look at your utility bill and see how the actual calculation is done. So I've highlighted the points that are helpful to look at. This happens to be one from Sewer District 6, although Sewer District 1 uses the same calculation. This one was handy. You need to take note of your consumption, which is highlighted on the top towards the right there. It's the number of gallons, and to which district your property falls under. So this particular property, as you can see, is from Sewer District 6, and it's all of Niskayuna uses the same water district. The table below helps you determine your sewer district if you're unsure of which one, and it also reflects the minimum usage and the rates. All right, and now we get to the fun part, the math. The calculation reflects the bill from the previous page. I broke it out over here just so we could go step by step and make it a little bit easier. For each portion, you take your total consumption. So for water, this previous bill had consumed 23,406 gallons. Subtract what the minimum amount is and know that the minimum for water is $78. So that's 9,490 gallons, which leaves 13,916 gallons to have the rate per thousand applied. For the rate per thousand, you take the $4.40, divide by 1,000 and multiply times the number of gallons, 13,916, and it gives $61.23. So for water, based on that previous bill and that consumption, it's the $78 for the minimum plus the $61.23 for the overage. So that portion of the bill was $139.23 was the water consumption portion. The same practice happens for the sewage. So the sewage is based again on the water metering, but we allow half again as much, knowing that not all of the water that's used goes into the sewer system. For Sewer 6, it happens that it's $79 for the first 14,235 gallons. So subtract that from the 23,406, and it leaves 9,171 gallons. The $3.55 per thousand rate is applied to those gallons, and it comes to $32.55. The $79 minimum plus the $32.56 gives the $111.56 for the sewer 6 usage on this bill. This slide is from the previous brief as well, but it's been added to. So from the earlier sewer 1 is in the blue and the sewer 6 is in the red. So you can just kind of get an idea of it. The person who was in the blue, who happened to be a sewer 1 user, was closer to our minimum calculation that we used, the 52 gallons per day. They used approximately 80.09 gallons per day. You can see that it tracks numerically down. It's more than the 52, less than the 100, and the rates were applied and the amounts came out where we would expect them to be. Their total spring utility bill was $257.29. The one to the right in the red is the bill that we just looked at and calculated, with the total being $250.79. So if you look at those in totality, using the one to the right in the red and this as the example, since we were using calculations from that previously, if you doubled their bill, it would come up to approximately $502 of usage for water and sewer for the year, which is about $1.37 per day for their usage. That does not include their debt service, but just similarly for those two households, one a little bit more than the minimum and one a considerable amount more than the minimum. This is the actual bills for 2024 for a sewer 6, just so you can see that the rates are put in the same places as they were for sewer 1. So if you're looking at your tax bill and your utility bills, whether you're in sewer district 1 or sewer district 6, you'll see everything in the same locations. Additionally, in order to compare apples to apples with the earlier sewer 1 example, the debt service for sewer 6 and water were both paid for on the 2024 tax bill. This household paid $270.35 for sewer 6 debt service, $92.97 for water debt service on their tax bill. They used over the minimum for water, so paid $139.23, and used over the minimum for sewer, so paid $111.56 for a total of $250.79 for their water and sewer usage. Assuming their usage is the same on their fall bill, they will pay $864.90 for all debt service, operations, and maintenance for their water and sewer 6 usage for 2024. The next two slides are taken and slightly modified from the previous brief. These had been projected. Anything in blue is updated. These are the actual impacts, assuming somebody has the minimum use. So we had the floor basically in 2022 before anything was changed. That remains the same. In 2023, because of the late adoption of the rates, the fall utility bill was not actually charged for sewer 1. So from the difference from total payment in 2022 for a minimum user to the total payment in 2023 for a minimum user, they would have saved or paid less by $326.89. So carrying that forward to 2024, there were some small changes in the debt service. They had been projected, and then we had the actual numbers once we had rolled the debt. Sewer 1 actually went down by $2 for capital debt, and sewer 6 actually went up by about $1. So those are the changes in blue on the bottom there, which then changed across to the totals. So you can see that the total difference from 2022 to 2024 for a minimum user for water would be an increase of $63.19. For a minimum user in sewer district 1, it would have been a decrease of $20.76. And for a minimum user in sewer district 6, it would have been an increase of $54.97. So what this shows is that what we projected is actually the case, that the rates did work as we had anticipated with the minimum use. So we're comfortable that the rates were put at the correct place. I will now pass around the sheet if anybody has questions specifically regarding their bill. The things that I would recommend looking at first is the actual consumption to see if there's been a change. In every billing cycle, we see a certain number of households where the consumption's changed dramatically. That can indicate either a problem with a leak somewhere in the system or with a meter that's not working properly. And that does happen with every billing cycle, and the water and sewer department will come out and take a look at that. And additionally, if anybody needs help actually looking at and calculating their bills, we're happy to sit down with anybody who wants to sign up, and we will do that as we go through. And now we're ready to move on with our agenda.
Thank you for that great explanation. That was very well.
You're welcome.
I want to welcome everyone. We have a process for these meetings. You will have an opportunity to speak. Please bear with me. We recognize that the communication could have been improved. We wish we had put a letter in that bill, maybe done an educational video similar to this beforehand. And there's always room for improvement. We are fielding your calls, answering your questions. When you visit town hall, speaking with people individually and looking at bills, looking at tax bills, looking at your utility bills, we're really trying to do our best to answer all of your questions and address your concerns. I do recognize this was a sticker shock for many people. And to see a tax bill change of a couple $100, and maybe you didn't see it because that's okay. And maybe you didn't see it because it went to escrow, or you didn't see the postcard, or you didn't see the tax bill and pay attention to it closely because it goes to escrow. And so maybe you didn't notice the $350 change in your tax bill, but then you certainly noticed a shift in your utility bill. And that's, and especially if you look at the line that says, previous bill was maybe $50 and now current bill is X hundred of dollars. That's shocking. And then if you have a water meter issue that potentially you're reading, there's a problem with it. And so there's an inaccuracy. To see a very inflated water bill because of that could add to that shock and surprise. So we recognize the room for improvement. We are here to answer your questions, and we will be here to listen to you. And just after the finance meeting concludes, our quick agenda meeting, and then we'll start our board meeting. So please stick around, and please write your name, your contact information. We will have someone reach out to you and go through any of your questions and also your bills line by line if necessary. Okay. So I'll move on to items for action in the finance meeting.
Okay. The first item is no longer tentative. It's a resolution to recertify the standard workday and reporting for elected and appointed officials. The second is a resolution for the supervisor to sign contracts for the Niska Day fireworks. It's the same amount as it has been previously at $5,500, but they have changed their administration slightly. So it shows as two bills, but the total ends up being the same. So I'm just bringing that to your attention. The third item is tentative. It's a resolution to appoint members to the Elected Officials Compensation Study Committee. I'm still just waiting for the final nominee for that. The next is a tentative as well. It's a resolution to accept the court process audit. Once that is complete, I know that the court clerks are working on coordinating the schedule for that. The next item is a resolution to accept lands from the state known as Mohawk River State Park. The next item is tentative. It's a resolution for the supervisor to sign a contract for mowing Dean Street Park. The next item we actually need is a finance approval to purchase slide gates for the wastewater treatment plant. The amount looks to be approximately $9,700. And Supervisor Matt, did you want to speak to that? He had brought it up at his committee meeting previously.
So these are slide gates to be used at the wastewater plant for breaking up the flow and directing different treatment practices. It's $9,700. We did get multiple quotes. This is far less than the other quote. The other quote was over 20,000. So this is for 3 gates for the secondary clarifier distribution block. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of purchasing slide gates for the wastewater treatment plant at a cost of $9,700, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that has finance approval.
Okay, and the final item will be a discussion regarding any budgetary modifications, should we need any at the end of the month. I don't, one.
The court, JCAP.
Oh,
grant.
right. Okay, we will have one because of the court receiving the JCAP grant, but that's the only one we anticipate at this time. And that is all I have for the finance agenda.
Okay, that's all we have for the finance agenda. At this time, I'll move to adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we stand adjourned and we will move promptly into our agenda committee meeting.